And so without further ado, Daddy-O, let's hit that music.
For a good old-fashioned Q&A,
Yes, I called Frank Daddy-O.
We need to talk after the show.
How do you feel about this?
The moment has arrived to hear from the man himself, Ariel Helwani.
That's me, baby. Nottingham Forest with the big draw, obviously, on Monday. We could talk about that. I don't know if it made the cut.
And now, to answer your question,
A lot going on. Of course, I had quite the weekend. One to remember, one for the scrapbook.
Here he is, Ariel Helwani.
Here I am, once again. So much to get to. Last time I did this off the top. Thank you very much, Mike Heck, of course. I think I got to 2 questions in 30 minutes. I'm going to try to at least get to 3 in the first 30 minutes of the show. Let's do this. We got a lot to get to, a lot going on. Thank you very much. Let's start things off with James. James leads us off. What's up, Ariel? So my question today is all about the featherweight division. It seems obvious that since there's no standout number one contender, and we know Volk is the backup fighter for 280, he's most likely waiting for the winner of Charles versus Islam, and that'll hopefully happen in the first quarter next year. Perth obviously makes a lot of sense. Well, what about Max Holloway? Is he looking to fight anytime soon? How about Yair and Josh Emmett? Is that fight going to get booked for an interim belt in the meantime? I don't think there should be an interim belt. I mean, he just fought in July. Any injury status on Brian Ortega? Do you have any clue if Korean Zombie is going to continue fighting or hang him up? Geez, that's a lot of questions. Feels like there's a lot up in the air at the top of the division. Just wondering if you have any insight or knowledge on any of these fighters and their situations. I still stand by my claim. P.S. He says that deep dish is just a casserole. You're wrong. Also, I think that oat milk just tastes like dirty water. Sorry, I mean, it was a fine question until the P.S., if I'm being honest. Don't forget, by the way, I'll ignore the PS. Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen is an important fight at 45, so it's not like everything is stalled. I would do Max versus Korean Zombie. I know Max has been doing some traveling. And remember, a lot of these guys that you're mentioning, Max, Ortega, Emmett, like a lot of these guys fought not that long ago, and the roster is pretty robust. And we've seen this where, you know, there was a period where all the 135ers weren't booked. There wasn't a single one in the top 8 that was booked. And then they all got booked at the same time. And I actually kind of like that, right? We saw that, and it's going to culminate with the 280 card with the 2 bantamweight fights on that main card. So I suspect in the next month or so, you'll start to see some of these guys booked. And I don't think there should be an interim belt. And I think we'll see what happens with 280. I think they wanted to see how that situation played out. And I think it's very clear that Volkanovski wants to fight for the 55 belt. And so I would put maybe one of those guys on that card in Perth. I have no problem with Emmett versus Yair, by the way. What's wrong with that as a number one contender fight? And by the way, if Arnold Allen wins, he probably has a very strong case at the number one contender. So a lot of this has to play out, is the point. Cool your jets. Hold your horses. Let's see what happens next week with Volkanovski. I don't think Max is in a huge rush to come back. Remember, he hasn't been he hasn't had a lot of multiple fights in a year, in a while. Took a lot of damage in July. Wants to take time off. I don't think we're seeing it. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if we see him at any point this year. Now, I know there's only 2.5 months left, but still. But I would, at some point, love to see Max versus Zombie if they both want to fight. Hola, Ariel. This is from El Cubano. Will the winner of this week's flyweight battle between Askar Askarov and Brandon Royval be more likely to A, title fight with the winner of Figueiredo Moreno 4, B, number one contenders fight against Alexandre Pantoja, C, other Viva Helwani? Yeah, that's an interesting one as well. That's another weight class that obviously we know now that Figueiredo and Moreno are going to fight for the 4th time in January in Rio. This is an important fight. According to the UFC's rankings, Askarov 4, Royval 5, Pantoja 2. I don't hate the idea of Pantoja fighting on the January card as a backup fighter. I can see that happening. They're doing more and more of that. And so the question is, who does he fight? Maybe he fights one of these 2 guys. Pretty quick turnaround, but not the worst thing in the world. So I don't hate that. Obviously, Royval has a loss to Pantoja. So you could, you know, if he beats Askar Askarov, you can sell that. If Askarov wins, he has a loss to Pantoja. You could sell that, or you could just have him as the backup fighter and pay him just to be the backup fighter. I don't hate the idea of Pantoja just waiting for a title shot at this point. Feels like he needs like one more big win to get people behind him. His last fight was great, dominant win over Alex Perez, but it was in July. If this title fight is in January, it's going to be a long time before we see him again. May, June, July, that's a year out. I don't love that. So I would say maybe fight the winner of this fight on Saturday and be the backup. Meaning if one of the two guys falls out, you're the one that gets the shot. Or just fight some other flyweight as a backup. I would like to see him fight one more time just to stay active, just to get people, more into him. Sitting out for a year doesn't seem ideal. And you could have made a case for him fighting for the belt right off the bat, like right now, instead of going with the fourth fight. But the fourth fight is way bigger and will get the most amount of attention for the division. I think the majority of people who aren't related to Alexandre Pantoja want to see that fight in the world of MMA and UFC. So I think they made the right call. So let's see. Andres, good afternoon, Ariel. Could you describe the emotions you went through this weekend? From the Blue Jays blowing an 8-run lead and getting eliminated, to the Bills blowing out the Steelers at Orchard Park, as well as experiencing both games with your family. As always, there's no show like the MMA Hour. Okay, let's sit back and let's tell a few stories, shall we? Thank you, Frank. Appreciate that. What a trip I had, guys. I mean, really, it was something else. It started on Friday. I was on a show called One Bills Live with the great Steve Tasker, who I grew up watching, 90s Bills, legend, number 89, wide receiver. He was unbelievable, heart of a line. And then we flew. I mean, it was just something else. There was a lot going on Friday because on Thursday, I was asked to voice the pre-match package for Extreme Rules, the Fight Pit match, pitting one Seth freaking Rollins and Matt Riddle, which of course our good friend Daniel Cormier was involved as the special guest referee, and we'll get to him in a moment. And so they asked me to voice it. And as you may know, WWE, they are the best when it comes to these pre-match packages. I mean, the effects, the storytelling, the writing, the production, it's all top-notch. And so they asked me to do it, and they actually sent me like some other pro guy voicing it. I changed the words, gave it my own little feel, but I was like, this guy's way better than I am. And so I just voiced it at home. And then on Friday, less than 24 hours later, they sent me the finished product and said, you could post it. And I was like, wow, you guys made me sound a hell of a lot cooler than I really am. And it was kind of surreal to hear my voice in one of those patented, old school, old-fashioned WWE packages. I mean, this is a really big freaking deal for a lifelong watcher, admirer, fanatic, enthusiast, whatever you want to say. So that was super cool. So that happened. Also on Friday, the Bills are like, oh, we can't wait to welcome you. And I'm like, my head is spinning. We fly to Toronto Friday night. And, I've said this, I think I said it last week, like I haven't really done things like this with my kids. Weekends are very busy, tons of work, tons of things to do, the show on Monday, blah, 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 blah. Activities, kids are young. And so I feel like we haven't done these things, these spur of the moment trips. The Bills trip was planned for a while, but when I realized that the Blue Jays would be in town as well, hosting a playoff game, I was like, man, we got to do this. So I rearranged the trip, flew into Toronto, one of my favorite cities. It was great to be back there. I hadn't been there since game 1 of the NBA Finals in 2019. I was there for 24 hours. Great to be with my kids. My kids had never been to any province in Canada other than Quebec. So to show them a little bit of that was cool. Saw some friends who lived there. Check out Danny's Pizza Tavern in Little Italy. My friend just opened it up. It's fantastic. And, we're walking around, great. And then I go with my boys. Now, Blue Jays lose game 1. Crap the bed, 4-0. Go with my boys to game 2, and it's just like I've never been to a playoff game in Canada. I grew up being a huge Expos fan, always wanted to see the Expos in the playoff. 94 happened. Never been to a playoff game, and it was very exciting for me to be at a playoff game in Canada. What are the chances that the stars would align, that they'd be in town hosting a playoff game that same weekend where we were going to the Bills game? So I got the tickets. We went there. Crowd is hyped. There's the rally towels, taking pictures, all that stuff. And it was just so great to be there. It felt special, not an empty seat in the house. And there was a lot of pressure. Here we are outside the Rogers Center. Thank you for that, GC. Here's the family outside the Rogers Center. It was great. The whole crew there. Here's me and the boys, in front of the postseason sign. Very excited. I mean, I was just a full-on fan. I was loving everything about it. Here we are inside the Rogers Center, and I'm pretty sure the last time I was at the Rogers Center was for UFC 129. I'm pretty sure that's the case. George St. Pierre against Mr. Jake Shields, my good friend. So that was very exciting and a lot of pressure. I think people were nervous. Kevin Gossman is dealing, and it's looking great. 8-1. We're up 8-1. I'm starting to think Sunday's going to be great. Bills, Blue Jays, obviously not at the Blue Jay game, but we're going to game 3-game series. And then slowly but surely, the whole thing, unravels. And in the back of my mind, so we're driving, and I didn't know this. Frank didn't tell me this. I didn't realize Buffalo is so close to Toronto. I mean, I did my research, but it's just like an hour and a half drive. And by the way, did you guys know that Buffalo, we were in downtown Buffalo, and that is 7 minutes from the border. Like, when I drove from Toronto to Buffalo, I kept wondering, when is the border going to come? And you're pretty much 98% of the time in Ontario. Only at the very end, you cross the border, and then all of a sudden, you're in downtown Buffalo. You go over something called the Peace Bridge. It's beautiful. Have you been there, Frank?
No, but I know a lot about it.
It's tremendous. So in the back of my mind, now it's a 4:00 game. It's getting to 7:15. So I'm like, geez Louise, my kids go to sleep like 7:30, 8:30. This is, I was planning for a nice, tidy 2.5, 3-hour game. I know that's pushing it with a playoff game, but I was starting to get worried about the drive, the hour and a half drive. So I'm like, oh, guys, please don't blow this. Please don't blow this. And then my kids, they were excited, and I was being a good dad. I got them a bunch of merch stuff. Also, they each got their own Sprite. Ended up being a huge mistake because they drank the whole Sprite, and no joke, had to go to the bathroom like 8 times. So we kept having to go up. Every half inning, we're going to the bathroom. The people must have hated us. And so top of the 8th, go to the bathroom, but they don't let you go back to your seat, while the play is going on. So we had to watch the top of the 8th from the top on the screen. Couldn't see anything, and we saw the whole thing unravel. George Springer, Bo Bichette, they collide. Springer, concussion, gets carted off, and now it's tied 9-9, and then it's 10-9. I'm like, what the hell just happened here? This is a nightmare. Turns out, biggest comeback ever for a road team in an MLB playoff game. I once, lived to see the Bills beat the Oilers in a playoff game at home. Now I got the other side of the coin, and it was a huge bummer. Now I'll say this, massive bummer. Air was let out of the stadium. The place was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. It was unbelievable. I mean, you just saw the whole thing just unfold in front of your eyes, and you couldn't believe they were up 8-1. Hernandez, 2 home runs. I mean, they were cooking. I will say this: if I was watching at home, I'd be pretty pissed. The fact that I got to experience that with my kids, and they got to feel a playoff game, and they asked me if they can get a ball and a glove and this and that, and I could see them ask me about, Alejandro Kirk and Danny Jansen and Vladdy Guerrero and Bo Bichette and stuff like that. I could see the fandom just building, and I could see how mad they got when they tied the game 9-9, and I could just see it all happening. It kind of took a bit of the sting away, if I'm being honest. There was a part of me that was like, it's happening. It's, some kids, they get into it early, some a little later. I'd say my kids are pretty young, 8 and 10, my boys. I could just see it happening. I could see the fandom. I could see them getting into it. Cheering when there's a strike 2, cheering when there's a strikeout, booing when there's a ball 3 or a ball, those moments are just priceless. This is everything that you dream of when you're a dad, especially when you're a huge sports fan like me and you care about it so much. So getting to experience that with them, while it was super, super annoying that they lost, depressing, whatever you want to say, if I was just watching at home, A, they wouldn't have been as into it, and B, I would have been, I think, way more pissed off. The fact that we got to just experience it, I know now that they're bigger fans. Got a hat, they're wearing it. That's what it's all about, just to care, right? And just to feel connected and emotionally invested. So I was not too down. Great experience. Can't wait to be back. Rogers Center is great. Looking forward to the renovations. Very fun. Then drove to Buffalo, and at night, check in. And now we get there. And this is an emotional experience for me. And I'm sorry I'm going a little long here, but this was a really big weekend. In the hotel, everyone's wearing Bills gear. And I grew up, surrounded by Cowboys fans, Niners fans. I had one friend that was a Bills fan, Phil Dirksen. That was it. Didn't have a single other Bills fan in my life. Never been to a home game. Everyone at the hotel wearing Bills gear. The whole family's into it. Even my wife is wearing the jersey, Josh Allen jersey. I'm rocking the Thurman Thomas. Claire's rocking the Stephon Diggs. No, Josh Allen. Walter Diggs. Oliver Allen, I think. Anyway. And I was worried about this, but I convinced them to go early because the Bills, thank you so much to Kelsey Sweet, social media head honcho for the Buffalo Bills. She set it all up. She got us field passes. Now it opened at 11. You get to be on the field 11 to 12:15. So I was trying to plant the seed, like I want to go early. But you have young kids. Here we are. You get worried they're gonna fizzle out. The energy level is gonna go down come the first quarter. So I had to be strategic. But we left early. Now, guys, this is us on the field, right? I mean, this is just you know the scene, Rudy. This is the greatest sight these eyes have ever seen. Like that was me walking in there. It was unbelievable. Like I'm standing. That's Rich Stadium. That's the Ralph. That's Eric Wood, former Buffalo Bill. That's Steve Tasker taking a picture with us, coming over to take a picture with us. With my boys wearing Bills. I mean, I felt like I was home. I felt like I was among my family members, long lost family members. Here we are outside, now known as Highmark Stadium. I mean, I was getting emotional just driving up. And when you drive up to the stadium, I mean, this is giving me chills just looking at it. It's kind of surreal, to be honest. Taking picture. I mean, Claire's into it. She got the hat. Tons of merch. We got the blanket. We got everything. GC would have been in heaven. It was unbelievable, us just sitting there. Third row. When you drive into Orchard Park, everyone's out on their lawns, cooking, having a good time. It's truly like a Bills village. I'd never been around something like this before. People are letting you park on their lawns. You pay 15 here, 10 there. It was amazing. Everything about it was amazing. And getting to be there on the field and seeing Stephon and seeing Josh and seeing all the guys warming up beforehand. A member of the Bills equipment team came up and gave us gloves, wide receiver gloves, said he was a big UFC fan. Some people were saying hello to me from the stands. One nice man gave me a pack of UFC cards. He said he was hoping to see me there. It was unbelievable. And there we are sitting third row. I've watched games there since 1991. And I'm just I kept saying, I can't believe my eyes are actually seeing this. I can't believe my eyes are actually just actually processing this, right? Not through a screen. And there was a part of me that was like, geez, if they blow this to the 14-point underdog Steelers, everyone's going to say I'm a curse, blah, blah, blah. And what happens? First play, nothing. Second play, nothing. And then third play, 98-yard touchdown, Josh Allen to Gabriel Davis, and then it's off and running. Next play, recover a fumble on the kickoff, and the place is just, it was madness. It was madness. We're standing, we're sitting, we sat right in front of Shaq Lawson's family. They were lovely. His mom, his wife, his daughter. It was incredible. The whole thing was incredible. And then they end up killing 38-3. Josh Allen, 4 touchdowns in the first half, almost 400 yards in the first half. Offensive player of the week. It was biblical. It was truly biblical. And now everyone's saying I have to be back. I have to come back. I have to, who knows? But for my first ever trip to Orchard Park, can't believe it happened. Very, very thankful, very grateful. And it was very special to be there with my kids, with my wife, with everyone. I could see that they were into it. They wanted to play football that night. They wanted to play for an hour and a half outside the hotel, jumping around, pretending they're the guys and everything. It was really one of the best weekends that I've ever had as an adult, as a human being, as a father, as everything. It was great. And then the next day, I got to go to Niagara Falls for the first time, and that was a real cool experience. Have you guys been to Niagara Falls? Anyone been to Niagara Falls? There we are. I mean, this looks fake. That's a real place. Frank, you ever been to Niagara Falls?
No.
GC?
Yeah, I've been before.
Tremendous, right?
Yeah, U.S. side though.
You went to the Jabron side. Why?
I can't remember why, but
everyone said you got to go Canadian. You got to go Canadian.
Yeah, I guess it was up to my parents.
All right.
Back to Orchard Park real quick.
Yeah, please.
Was it really that windy for the Steelers to miss 2 field goals?
It was pretty windy.
All right.
And Bills had one block, but it was pretty windy. It was, relatively, good weather for a October Sunday, but windy, chilly. Yeah, it was windy.
And then the last quick one, I think you tried to clear this up for me before, but there was a train.
No, third down.
Okay.
Third down, they play sound like, it's great. It's so
All
great.
right. So thank you for answering my question.
Yes. But I have to say, like, I never really experienced that whole city. It's just all Buffalo Bills. You know what I mean? And I grew up in Montreal where the Canadians are a religion, but there's other things going on. It just seems everything is through the lens of the Buffalo Bills there. And you could just feel it. Like, you could feel that Sunday. Everyone, I mean, I would guess 95% of the households were watching that game. You know, like, it's just the whole, and there's only 8 home games, obviously, 8, 9, whatever it is these days, the 17-game schedule. The point is, I never really experienced that before. I've been to a couple NFL games, MetLife, this and that. It's not the same. Old Giant Stadium, not the same, because the stadium is like in the middle of a neighborhood. It's actually very European soccer-esque. Like when I went to the Man City game, it's in the middle of a neighborhood. So everything as you're driving up to it through a neighborhood is all Bills, Bills, Bills. People on their lawns, cooking, this and that. Now a lot of people ask me, did I do the tailgate? Did I jump through a table? No. Because the kids, I walked through, I looked, it was cool. I saw a VW bus, a Westphalia covered in Bills stuff. But, with the kids, I tried to keep it a little G-rated, PG. I'm not a big drinker, and I wanted to get in by 11 so we could go on the field. I felt like that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I wanted to experience that. And it was super cool. It was really, really cool. It's just a really fun thing as a parent, especially when you were a fan of teams that no one else was a fan of. In my house, among my friends, they were all Bulls fans, Cowboys fans, to now pass this on to my kids and hopefully they get, to see a championship, unlike me, in my youth. It's really fun to see it start to click. And I feel like this weekend, baseball, football started to click in a really big way. Like, they were fans, they know about the guys and everything like that, but it's different when you experience it and you get this stuff. And I tried to, impress upon them, this isn't normal. You don't get this type of stuff. I used to sit in the bleachers back in the day. I used to sit, in the rafters. I used to sit last row of the Montreal Forum. And I hope they appreciate that. But it was really, really fun. And then the whole trip, it was just amazing. Canada, these are things that, we didn't really do a lot of. And, maybe it's a pandemic byproduct, but I want to do more of it, appreciate life, and just enjoy these things and try to do as much as possible. So I could go on and on about the trip, but it was really a lot of fun. Now, Big Money asks, welcome back, Ariel. We missed you in the gang. Just looking forward to hearing about your first trip to Orchard Park for the epic Bills-Steelers game. Did you jump through a folding table after chugging a Labatt Blue? No. Did you get a chance to meet any players, celebs? Eric Wood, Steve Tasker were the main ones. And then at the airport yesterday, as we're leaving, I meet Buck Martinez, former Blue Jays manager, now color analyst, who just beat cancer. Best of luck to him in the future. It was great to talk to him. And then minutes later, I see John Schneider with his lovely wife and daughter, current Blue Jays manager, within minutes of each other. No one said anything to both of them. And I wanted to tell, I could tell John was a little down. He was nursing a beer. And I told him, the real fans appreciate him. They wouldn't have been there without him. And that I hope he's brought back. He was the interim manager. He said a couple more of these will make him feel a lot better. He was talking about the beer. And I feel for the guy because I think he's been blamed a lot for the loss. I don't think it was his fault. I think the pen really blew it for him. And you could say, you should have kept in Gosman longer, blah, blah, blah. The point is, that was a super cool way to end the trip. And I was just being a total fanboy, if I'm being honest. Any other player celebs? No. But everyone was very nice. Niagara, Buffalo, a lot of people. Was so cool was because I was on One Bills Live on Friday, a lot of people who aren't MMA fans, I guess, recognized me from the appearance only and were saying, welcome to Buffalo, welcome to Orchard Park, welcome to your first Bills game. The love that I was feeling was immense. It was really fun. It was really fun. Excuse me. I'm reading son here. How did your sons react to the rowdy Buffalo crowd environment? By the way, a lot of people say like swearing this, that, maybe because we were low down, but like everyone was super nice. Super, there's some yelling, there's some crazy characters, and they're like, whoa, this is a little different than the Blue Jays baseball crowd. But for the most part, everyone was super, super cool. Very, 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 very warm, friendly. Maybe I was in the other section, but it was tremendous. What other food experiences did you enjoy while in Western New York? Thanks, and as always, go Bills. So we went to Gabriel's Gate, which I was told was the best wings in Buffalo, and then we got there Monday night, and they had a 2-hour wait, and that was a problem. So then we went to another place close to the hotel, and we had the wings. And I have to say, it wasn't like I don't think it was like a sports bar, but the wings were something else. And can I just say this, Frank and GC, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. At the game, Bill's social media had me answer some questions for a video that they're going to post later on this week, I think. Just like some random stuff. And it's like the players asking questions, and they claim that they're asking me questions, like Josh Allen and stuff, and there's no chance that they're asking me the questions. I think they just recorded it. Nevertheless, one of the questions was wings or drumsticks, and then ranch or blue cheese.
Flats or drumsticks?
Flats or drumsticks.
Wings or
We had this discussion at lunch.
Yes. Okay, so you know what I said?
Oh, God.
Let's hear it.
So I said drumsticks. That's okay, right?
If that's your preference, that's your preference.
But here's the problem.
Did you say ranch?
Oh,
They didn't walk you right out?
Here's the thing. I said ranch, and the lovely young woman, Kelsey Sweet, who was filming me, made a face when I said ranch.
yeah.
I'm making
to a Buffalo person.
Yes.
I'm from Texas, and I know better than to say ranch.
Here's the thing.
You actually like ranch better?
No, but I hate blue cheese in a salad. Hate blue cheese in a salad.
This is not salad.
But here's the thing. I was thinking salad, okay? I don't know if I've ever had blue cheese
This is
dip.
such a Seinfeld moment for
I
you.
don't know if I've ever had it. And now here's the problem. Literally the next night, I have wings with blue cheese, and I'm dipping it in. And I asked the guy, by the way, what's this dip? This is fantastic.
You asked this dude in
I asked the guy, he goes, that's blue cheese. I was like, this is blue cheese? Why didn't anyone tell me that this was blue cheese? This is fantastic. I said, let me ask you a question. Someone yesterday asked me if I liked ranch or blue cheese. Was the wrong answer ranch? He said, yes. 99.9% of people in Buffalo are going to laugh at you if you say ranch. I was like, So then I wanted to text her and say, can you take, I got to own it.
Oh, man, that's bad.
In my defense, I've never had it.
I can't believe you're this old and you haven't had it.
When am I having? By the way,
Anytime you have wings, anything.
No, listen. I've had wings. I've never had dressing like that before, or dip, or whatever you want to call it.
I
Never
will
had
say, like, in-house blue cheese is going to be better than any sort of store-bought or like a Buffalo Wild
It
Wings.
was
Like an in-house.
fantastic. It was a little
don't doubt
bit
it.
chunky at the bottom.
Oh, man, yeah.
It was amazing.
Sometimes
kids-
it's just ranch with blue cheese chunks.
My kids were begging me
don't
for a
say that.
second order, and I was like, no, we can't have a second order. You know, they had their own 10-piece, 5 each. I felt like that was enough for their little bellies. They wanted another. They were dying for it.
I did my wings on Sunday in honor of you being at the Buffalo game, and I got like 5 blue cheese sauces. Have to have it.
Why
Have
did
to
you
have
guys
it.
tell me this?
Oh, embarrassing.
And I felt so much love from the Buffalo fans, and now I feel like they're going to hate me.
Yeah, you're going to get flamed online when it drops.
What's wrong with ranch?
Nothing's wrong with ranch. I love ranch, but with the wings, it's always blue cheese. And then Buffalo people seem to be
They're very passionate. I think a player a couple years ago said, I can't remember who it was, said he hated blue cheese and he got killed for it.
That's your future.
Anyway, it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. If you're ever in Buffalo, it's the real deal. It's the real deal. Anyway, that's my trip in a nutshell. It was tremendous. All right, back to the questions. Cross Sama. Ariel, why don't you talk more about ONE FC now that they're in the American market with the Amazon cards? By the way, they were in the American market with the TNT cards too, so. They just literally had their version of Amanda Nunes versus Val 3, except Angela Lee versus Sean. Both had one win going to the trilogy. Having Angela Lee on to talk about the fight would be amazing. By the way, I tried to get her on, but the time difference is too tough, so that ain't on me. I mean, obviously ain't on her either, but I did try. You can ask them. FYI, John Lineker headlines the next Amazon card as defending champ. Will you be watching that? Yes, I have watched both. Why not get Lineker on to talk about his climb up ONE FC? All right, Cross, chill out. Not sure if you heard this, but we have Chatri Sichotong in studio today, so hopefully that appeases you. There's a lot going on. Ahmed. Salam alaikum, Ariel. Missed the show, but hope you and the fam enjoyed your time. Thank you. I'm back with another unpopular topic in the show. How fun was Extreme Rules? The Wyatt return was expected yet brilliant, and DC should be referee of the year. Also, happy 1 year anniversary of PF Chang's Helwani. Hey! All right. Also, Lewis tells me that the next question is about Extreme Rules, so let me read it as well. Ski says, sup, Ariel, Frank, Connor, Rick, and everyone else who makes this show so great. possible. I'll get straight to the point. Ariel, can you talk us through the moment when you got the text from your boy DC that he would be guest reffing at Extreme Rules? Did it come totally out of nowhere for you? I can just imagine DC saying, my boy Helwani has to be the guy to break it. How did you get to announce it to the world? He's got the whole world in his hand. By the way, did you guys see this? Please tell me you guys saw this Bray Wyatt reveal. GC, you see this?
I got the highlights on Twitter. Wasn't watching live.
No, but you saw the clip. Like, you saw how great this was.
Yeah.
Did it do anything for you? I mean, I know you're not, like, did you think to yourself, like, this is cool, or did you say it was lame? Be honest.
All right, so, like, the thing about Bray Wyatt is, like, I did that real deep Royal Rumble pick. I bet on him. Like, I put, like, 50 cents on him. So I'm aware of who he is, and, I thought the walkout was cool.
Did you see it, Frank?
No.
Okay, perfect. So that was another stressful part of Saturday night because I had the drive and I was trying to make it to the hotel so I can see at least DC take part in the match. Now let's rewind. DC tells me 2 Thursdays ago that, first someone at WWE asked me if I'll be at Extreme Rules. I said no, Toronto, Buffalo, that whole thing. I said, oh, that's too bad. And then I kind of get the hint that my guy is going to be involved. So I called DC and I'm like, yo, are you doing this thing? He says, yes, it's in the works. I was like, man, you're trying to kayfabe me, not tell me the story here? What the hell? So then he keeps me up to speed, blah, 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 gets done. On Saturday, I get the heads up that it's a done deal and, it's good to be broken. Got my guy Spencer to make me a little poster, made me a little poster. We put it out there. Everyone's into it. He cuts the promo on Monday of last week. Maybe helped him a little bit just with the framing, it was all him, but just, to tighten it a little bit, just like to, tighten, we've done this stance before. And then he does his thing. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, I keep hitting, because I'm living vicariously through him. What's it like? What are they telling you? Backstage, what's the schedule? Da-da-da. So Saturday, unfortunately, or fortunately, I had the busy day, game and all that. So we were kind of checking in here and there. He's telling me, I saw this guy. I saw Braun Breaker. I saw this guy. He didn't tell me about the Bray thing, even though afterwards he told me that he, saw him for a bit. Then I leave him alone. I say, good luck. Give me the lowdown afterwards. Get to the hotel just as the match is starting. I think it was like 9:30, 9:45, just as the match is starting. So I sit there and I got to watch this. One thing I told DC, when you walk out there, when they introduce you, don't smile. Don't act like you're happy to be there. Don't act like you're the celebrity guest referee and you're just happy to be there. Take it seriously, all right? You're in their world. You're the enforcer. You're there. You've been brought in to be the special guest referee for this fight pit match. No rules, no ropes, no mercy, just the cage, all that stuff. What does he do when he walks out? He freaking is smiling up the wazoo, all right? He's shaking hands. He's smiling. He's looking like the locker room guy. But then once the actual thing starts, the smile's gone. I was very happy. And I have to say, like, I was legit. It's like, there's my bud, and he's getting to play referee. Who doesn't dream of this? And he's saying, you're fighting him, not me, and all this. My favorite part of the whole referee appearance, cameo, whatever it was, he was continuously fixing his pants, like putting his belly, like putting the pants over his belly, looking like an old crotchety wrestling coach. Like he's like, I'm in charge while fixing his pants, while tucking the belly in. It was fantastic. The whole thing was fantastic. And I thought he did a great job. He added some credibility. He added some fun. He made it feel special. He made it feel real. And Riddle wins. I thought he did a great job. Knocked it out of the park. Saw his clip with Booker T. That was nice. Nice little full circle moment from the DC and Helwani days. I thought he did a 10 out of 10 job. It was really, really fun. And I know how much it meant to him. And I was living vicariously through him. I thought it was so cool that he was there. And then they walk out and then it dips to black. And then the Bray Wyatt thing happens. And I have to say, that was one of the all-time greatest reveals moments in wrestling history. He should have never been fired. He's one of the greatest characters of the last decade, one of the greatest minds. I know he can be controversial. I know he can be polarizing, but you can't deny his talent. From the Bray Wyatt character to the Fiend, Firefly Funhouse, all that. And then to come out with that, with the music, him singing, and then and then the little reveal. I mean, it was just magic. WWE is on fire right now. The shows are so great. It seems like every week, every show, someone is coming back. The long-term booking is smart. I love all the factions. The stuff with Judgment Day is great. I can't wait to see what Bray does. Pay-per-view is fun. Didn't love the Ronda Liv Morgan finish, but fine. Curious to see what they do with Liv there. Yeah, Seth winning the belt on I mean, it's just a great time to be a wrestling fan. I'm sorry if that upsets some of you, but I really think it's a great time to be a fan. I think they're clicking, and all hail Triple H. I know that's not cool. I know all the and I think the next question is about the AEW freakazoids. I mean, these people are absolute freaks. These people are out of their minds. They're living in some sort of like alternate universe where if you say anything pro WWE and anything somewhat negative towards AEW, they get so mad. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. Like, I get it. You're passionate about your team, your company, whatever. But golly, take a breather, guys. Chill the F out. There is no denying right now that WWE is the superior brand. And by the way, go back and look on this show. Maybe 6 months ago, I said AEW is a superior brand. I tell it like it is. If you want to do selective hearing, good on you. I was on Simmons' show in July and said the product was so boring, so stale. Brock versus Reigns for 1,000th time. Not the case anymore. The change at the top has helped tremendously. It is a completely different product. It is fun. It is entertaining. It is unpredictable. It's what we all want. We want these people back. Bray Wyatt should have never been fired. We want him back. And you bring him back like that, and I hope he comes back as the old Bray Wyatt with a faction behind him. Golly, give it to me. Now, Andrew says, Ariel, as a lifelong pro wrestling fan, how did it feel to be so involved this past weekend at Extreme Rules? Also, what are your true feelings about Tony Khan in that interview? All right. Well, I wasn't that involved in Extreme Rules. All I did was the thing. But yes, it was super cool, and I was honored that they asked, and it was a really big deal, and it was an honor to be involved. And you know what? I had a conversation with New York Rick about this, and I was like, should I be involved? And he said something to me that really resonated with me, breaking the fourth wall here. It's like, it's all right to have fun. I've especially like post 2016, I was so, I was so tense and I was so uptight about like, you got to be down the middle. You got to be this, you got to be that. And I've turned down so many things. I actually turned something else down, not to get into it, leading up to Extreme Rules, because I need to be Mr. Journalist. You know what? I'm going to do things that are fun, that obviously I'm not going to stray too far away, but I'm done with turning things down just because I need to be something to other people. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm going to start having a little fun. And that's been a buildup over the past year. So it was an honor to do it. And, not sure if there's anything else on the horizon, but just doing that one-off thing and then to sort of be connected to DC's quote-unquote debut was super fun. Now, the Tony Khan interview. Did this interview with Tony Khan last Tuesday. It aired Wednesday night. It was for the YouTube channel. You could check it out. Look, whatever I'm going to say here is going to piss off the AEW supermarks. But I'll just say this. One of the most frustrating and, to a degree, not so fun interviews in my career. Because, as you may have seen, he didn't want to answer anything. Now, look, like, you're going to come on and promote X, Y, and Z. Great. And I'll play that dance with you. And I did at the beginning. But you got to give us something. To not even tell me like how you were feeling. I'm not asking for specifics on, all right, fine, I asked, is Punk going to wrestle for you? Is he coming back? You don't want to get into it? Fine. But just tell me how you were feeling. Give me something. MJF contract. Hey, I don't do business in the public, but I'll tell you, love having him on board. Look forward to many years together. But give me something. Don't just say, not going to talk about it. Not going to talk about it. Doesn't serve me. Doesn't serve me. That's not the way you do it. If you want to be the voice, if you want to be the face, there's a way to do that dance. Look at Eddie. Look at Dana back in the day. Look at some of the great promoters over the last 30 years. There's a way of giving us the answer, even though it's not the answer I want, but you're giving us some sort of answer, something to chew on, as opposed to just shutting it all down. Not very enjoyable. And if I'm being honest, like right off the bat, I was like, I think you didn't like me back in the day, because he turned down multiple interviews with me. And then we get right into the MJF thing and like really deep into the weeds on the PR stuff. And I was like, golly, this is how we're starting? All right. I just, took a shot at BT, the ITV stuff, should have went back at him and reminded him 2 minutes ago that he, was fawning over Warner Brothers Discovery about being the greatest place for AEW. Meanwhile, BT is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, and yet he's telling me that ITV is a better place than BT. Like, just these things that were, discrepancy. Says he never met Nick Khan, then he says he talked to him on the phone. I was like, what are we doing here? Well, what is this? And you're not going to give me one legit answer. I appreciated meeting him. I enjoyed it, but like, the enjoyment of getting to talk to the guy who founded this great property that has done a lot of great things in 3 years fizzled out rather quickly when I realized the only answers he's going to give me are these long drawn out answers promoting all this stuff and going on these tangents about Chris Jericho and this and that, when, we got a tight window, and I kept mentioning the tight window because they told me there was a tight window, and I can't get to any of the stuff. And then when I get to the stuff, you don't want to answer any of them. You don't want to answer a single one. Not even a single one. I won't get into this. I won't get it. MJF, the Punk stuff, the Young Bucks stuff. Asked him about Bray Wyatt. Asked him about, what else did I ask him about? MJF, Punk, Young Bucks. There was another one that I asked him about later on. Oh, Cody Rhodes. Wouldn't even say, like, how did you feel seeing him there? I'm not going to get into that. That's not going to serve me. Like, man, I'm not asking you for the financial breakdown. I'm just asking for your feelings. Yeah, it was tough. We had been through the wars together. We went in the trenches together. I'm happy for him. We're in a good spot. Maybe we'll do business in the future. I wish him the best, but I'm focused on our roster right now. Something. Give me something, for goodness sakes. My feeling on that interview, in short, was, this is me just shooting right here. I feel like Tony Khan doesn't trust me. I feel like he doesn't really like me. And I feel like he came in there with his guard super up and didn't want to give me any sort of morsel because he thought that if he opened the door a little bit, I would walk in and ask X, Y, and Z. And I tried to tell his people, like, yo, I have no allegiances to anyone. So I work for the British broadcaster of WWE. So what? When I worked for ESPN, I had Bellator guys and one guys on and whatever got Cage Warriors guy. That's what do you think I'm going to do? You think I'm going to come at him and hit him over the head with a steel chair? Like, what are we talking about here? So I don't know. Didn't really enjoy it. Frustrating. Felt like he wasn't giving us anything. And then I felt like there were so many discrepancies, and watch this be cut up and watch all the marks. My favorite thing about the crazy marks are they'll be like, oh, this is coming from, a guy who Nick Khan was his former agent. Every single time I talk about wrestling, I mention that, including in that interview, I mentioned it to him. And they love it. And you know what? I don't give a fuck. Enjoy. Have fun. AW in Toronto tonight. It's going to be great. My one regret was not asking about the 9,000 titles. Way too many titles in AEW. But here's the thing. If you are saying right now with a straight face that the AEW product is better than the WWE product, you're just a liar. You're just an absolute liar. There's no if, ands, or buts. The WWE product is infinitely better, infinitely more interesting, and there's a freaking brawl happening backstage each and every week, it seems. Meanwhile, it's all kumbaya on the Stamford side of things. Like, if you're going to be a super fan, be a super fan, but also tell it like it is. 6 months ago wasn't the case. A year ago when Punk came back wasn't the case. When Bryan signed, when Moxley came, all that stuff wasn't the case. But right this second, if you're going to sit here and say that it's a better product, you're an absolute liar. Adriano. Hi, Ariel. With the announcement of UFC Australia in February, will the UFC be pushing now to have Jones and Ngannou Stipe in December? March seems like they are pushing for the UK in Leon's latest interview with Nick Pete, and April is more generally a New York card. Is it? Maybe. Will the interest of Jones fighting at heavyweight be gone by then? Feels like this whole year has been anticipation of Jones' return. I could say this. They're making one last-ditch effort to do Ngannou Jones. I don't think it's going to happen, and I think that the addition of the Jan Blachowicz fight against Magomed Ankalaev on that December 10th card kind of feels like confirmation that they're going to go with the Yuri versus Glover route. I know Yuri's losing some kind of patience. This fight is in 2 months, less than 2 months, December 10th. It's October 12th. Like, let's go. So I suspect next couple weeks we'll get some sort of finalization. I'll be very surprised last minute if it ends up being Ngannou Jones. I'll be surprised as well if it ends up being Jones versus Stipe. I know they're trying. They want that. I don't think the stars will align. And if so, then I could see them doing March and then April, the Leon card or swap. Thoughts on how the Benn versus Eubank fight was handled from all parties and how could or should the situation be resolved? Well, I feel like it's ongoing because now there's talk of the second test. Once he failed the first test, the fight should have been off. And I don't care if it's VADA. I don't care if it's the the British Board of Control, the BBOC. It doesn't matter. If you're paying to do VADA, then you have to adhere to what VADA is doing. If you're paying to do VADA to only adhere to what they're saying when you pass, then the whole thing is a sham. If you're paying to do VADA and it says you failed, then you've got to listen to them. And I think that they tried to salvage it. In the end, you got to give them full marks. Look, they tried to salvage it. It was happening in real time, but they didn't go through with the fight, and that was the right thing to do. There's too much of a liability to go through with the fight if you have a guy who failed. By the way, for clomiphene, which we know about, MMA, Brock Lesnar, I mean, talk to people who know about that PED. Like, that's attached to other stuff. So, unfortunate. Ben Eubank felt like Chimaev Diaz in the sense that it sort of felt like it was too good to be true. And I feel like it still feels like it's too good to be true. Not the greatest weekend. It happens. It happens to every promoter. Tried as hard as possible to salvage it. Kind of feel like they should move on, see how the whole thing plays out. They went with postponement, not canceled. To me, it's canceled, and they'll try to salvage it. But, I mean, it was, we haven't seen that in the UFC in quite some time. It was shades of 232 when they literally moved the card for John Jones, which is still, till this day, one of the most bizarre things that the UFC has ever done. Shades of 200 as well. We really haven't seen any type of, like, explosion because of obviously we had the Chimaev thing and they were able to rejigger the card, but due to PDs or due to USADA or anything like that, it's been a while. It really has been a while. And yeah, it happens. And it happened to Matchroom. It happened to DAZN. Unfortunate. It would have been great, but we'll see how it plays out. I don't see them fighting anytime soon. Lewis, Stephen A. Smith from ESPN was a guest on an episode of BS with Jake Paul where UFC revenue split was discussed among other topics. Jake brought up the 15% revenue split, which Stephen A. didn't dispute, but mentioned he never heard that before based on reporters that he has spoken to that cover the sport. Do you think this unawareness of the revenue split is surprising? And do you have any other thoughts about the episode if you heard it? I did not hear it. I saw that clip. I actually retweeted the clip. And I did the little thinking emoji thing because, no, I have never talked to Stephen A. Smith, to the best of my knowledge, about the UFC revenue split. I do, however, think that Stephen A. Smith is a great broadcaster and a very smart man, and I'd be surprised if he's never heard that before because he does his research, believe it or not, and is well-versed in everything that he usually chimes in on. So what I mean by that is if he's going to talk about Viviane Araújo versus Alexa Grasso, he's not going in blind. He's going to do his research. Is he watching every fight of theirs? Probably not, but he's going to do his research. So, is he scouring through the internet to find out, who's talking about what, who's covering what? No, but I think by now it's pretty well known that the revenue split isn't close to what it is in, the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. And so I personally had a hard time believing that he had never heard that it was quite low, but I've never actually spoken to him about it. And I thought from what I saw, it was an interesting conversation, and I give Jake props for, pushing him on that. And by the way, credit to Stephen A. Stephen A. says, I'm friends with Dana White. He says I'm friends with Dana White, and I may be biased when I talk about Dana White in the UFC. One thing that I disagree with him on consistently is he always talks about how the UFC is better than boxing as far as financials and promoters, this and that. And he often says this to the guy who is doing the same type of stuff that they did in boxing. Promoters are promoters. So I feel like he kind of looks at the UFC with rose-colored glasses, and, he's allowed to if he's a friend of Dana White's. He doesn't cover the UFC. He's not a UFC journalist. He's not an MMA journalist. So I don't expect that kind of coverage out of him. Let's see, if he reads up on it, is now educated the next time he speaks about it, because it comes up from time to time. But I have a hard time believing that he didn't know that. Mount Sinai. Maybe he didn't know the precise number, but he had to have known it's less. He had to. Mount Sinai says, Shalom and Aleit Shana Tova, Ariel. I have a massive job interview today, and I'm wondering your go-to advice on prepping and keeping the nerves calm. As someone who has talked about anxiety and stress and speaks in front of millions of people, what is your go-to way to relax and not get too nervous before something like this? That's a great question. I try not to overthink it. I try to get a good night's sleep. I try to remember that, we only have one life, and what's the worst that can happen? And even if the worst situation plays out, what's the worst that can happen? As long as I trust myself, I believe in myself, I'll show up. Once the moment commences, once the moment happens, it'll all work out. Maybe beforehand I'll be super nervous, but once I'm in the chair and once it's rolling, that nerve or those nerves, that anxiety tends to dissipate. So it's all about how you feel leading up to it. Did you do your research? Are you prepared? Are you, whatever makes you happy? Did you go for a run in the morning? Did you go for a run the night before? Did you have a good dinner? Did you have a good breakfast? Maybe you don't want to eat breakfast. Did you do something that you like that maybe takes your mind off of it, that puts you in a better place, that makes you happy, that makes you calm? Are you confident? Did you prepare? Did you, wear your favorite suit, wear your favorite shirt, your favorite shoes that make you feel good, that make you feel confident? All these little things help. You walk in there, trust me, I've been in situations where I've been so nervous. When I did the NBA game on Christmas Day, I had to do they told me literally 3 minutes before, coming out of this first commercial break, you're going to bring us back in. You're going to go on the sidelines. You're going to bring us back in and talk about basketball in Canada. I was so nervous that it felt like my heart was going to come out of my throat. My heart was beating so fast that it felt like it was going to pop out of my throat. You do it. Did I love it? Probably not. Do I wish I could have done it better? But this is life. And if you ultimately believe in yourself, you will be confident, you will be relaxed, you'll be calm. And once the plane takes off, you should be good. So recognize that everyone gets nervous, everyone gets anxious, everyone deals with it their own way. It's okay. It's normal. Try to do things that make you feel better. Try to put yourself in the best position possible, and then just get through the door, just make it there, and then you should be good to go. I wish you the best. Steven, hope you had a good Canadian turkey weekend, Ariel. Thank you. It was great. I'm finishing off visiting my family in Toronto for the Jewish holidays and going to head back to Thailand to continue training. Wow. I was wondering, as you seem to be someone to have been a bit shy in your early days, how did you manage to network with fighters? Sometimes I find it hard to initiate a conversation when I'm training at Tiger with other fighters, as they are much more intense. I don't look like a fighter and they hang in packs. Would love to hear how you broke the ice with fighters earlier in your career when you weren't famous yet. Thanks in advance for all the content that I'll listen to over my 29 hours of flying. This is the reason why the show's so long, because of Steven, 29 hours. MySpace helped me out, believe it or not. That's how old I am. I reached out to a lot of them. And once the conversation got going, we're behind a microphone, I felt a lot more comfortable. I have a lot more confidence, and I'm a lot more comfortable doing this like this than if this wasn't here. And I don't know if that makes me weird, whack, phony. I don't know what it makes me, but I have a lot more, like Chatri sitting here with this and those cameras, I'm a lot more comfortable. Chatri sitting here with nothing, I'm probably a lot less comfortable. I'm not like some weirdo, unable to carry a conversation. Yesterday, when I saw John Schneider of the Blue Jays, I was like, should I talk to him? Should I not say something? Should I say something? I was nervous, believe it or not. And I got a nice message from his brother afterwards. So yeah, it's a weird thing, but they're just like you and I. They're normal human beings. And maybe you're training, you ask a question, but it's hard. It's hard to break the ice. It's hard to reach out to anyone in any walk of life. So I get it. For me personally, reaching out to them via social media, MySpace, certainly helped a lot. Hugo knows. Ariel, my friend, it brought joy to my heart how much of a proud father you are to your kids, and particularly your sons, which resemble the Italianos from Kicking and Screaming. Enjoying football with them reminds me of my dad when he would take me to my club tournaments and college showcases. I hope one day to be the same as you men and do the same with my children. Real quick non-MMA related question for you and the crew. What is the best way to cut a sandwich? What? diagonal or horizontal, and what is in it? Have a good one, fellas. How do you preface that question with such a nice sentiment about being a dad? That's incredible. Thank you. My kids are getting into soccer big time, and it's a lot of fun, or as you put it, football. It's obviously, okay, I'll say this. If it's a sandwich with bread, it's horizontal, 2 triangles. If it's a bagel, it's in the middle.
Did you say horizontal with 2 triangles?
Yeah, wait, horizontal would give us 2 rectangles.
No.
It's been a long show.
Diagonal?
Diagonal.
Yeah, diagonal gives us the
that's what I meant.
triangles,
I
which
meant-
is easy,
yeah.
clearly the elite way to cut a sandwich.
Okay, so diagonal, 2 triangles. Bagel, though, in the middle, horizontal, correct?
I don't think there's a way you could cut it diagonally with a bagel.
No, I think you could
I think
overcompensate.
a bagel
Like,
is a diametric cut.
I don't have
No, not if you're cutting it in half. If you're cutting it in half, there's nothing you can do.
Oh my God. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, but even a wrap or a burrito, I like a touch of diagonal.
I do. Yeah, a burrito is
Really?
weird. It's nice when you open it. It's like, oh, they actually took the time
Yeah,
to
like
go.
a little bit
Who's
of that
they? You don't
diagonal.
cut your own burritos.
No, well,
This is about when you were cutting a burrito.
I'm just saying it's a nice. I get a better feeling when the burrito's cut diagonally as opposed to horizontally.
It gives you a starting point.
Here's the question. Who are the crazy people, probably the same people who are mad at me because of my Tony Khan comments, that cut the sandwich in the middle like that?
I do it in the middle sometimes.
You're kidding me.
I mean,
It feels
depends on the
very,
shape
it feels
of the
very
bread.
childish.
It's very peanut butter and jelly.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
circa-
Going to kindergarten.
Yes.
PB&J. Have no
Nothing better though. On white bread, I mean, there's few
Yeah.
sandwiches better than that.
glass of oat milk.
I don't know about that.
It's a refreshing oat milk,
You mean, what do you say? Dirty water?
dirty water.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Okay, so we all agree. Diagonal.
Oh yeah, I'm diagonal.
Situational.
By the way, when you put cream cheese on a bagel, both sides or one side?
Both sides.
GC?
Whatever it takes. I don't cream cheese my bagels too much. I usually don't have them at home that
I have a
often.
problem.
You ever do cream cheese and butter?
I've done it before, like on each side, like
Yeah.
butter on one, cream
Yeah.
cheese on the other. Yeah. Do you still
That
eat it
sounds-
as a sandwich, or do you eat them as halves?
I've never done it. I
Ooh,
just
that's
I've
a
done it, but
question.
I
Do
eat
you,
them as
do you
halves.
eat your bagels sandwich or
100%.
halves?
100%. I hate biting into it. No, I eat it
Oh,
as a sandwich. I hate biting into it,
thank
and it's
you.
like, you're
Thank God.
like, what is that? That's-
I don't know.
I do the
Before I
halves.
asked the question, I could see you eating it
No.
as a half.
No. And by the
Yeah.
way, this whole open sandwich phenomenon, very weird to me. Tuna, like I don't want to bite into the tuna like that.
Nah, give me the sandwich. I actually, I've come across a nice little gem I found here living in
Oh.
New York. I do bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. Get cream cheese on the side so it doesn't get melted, and add it bite by bite.
Wow.
A little savory, a little,
Do you eat your lox as a sandwich
Love the lox.
Oh, you have to.
with capers?
By the way, I don't
Sandwich.
hate capers. Disgusting. Hate
Really?
onions. Hate them.
What? And onions?
Hate them. If I get cream cheese and lox, I just want the bagel with cream cheese and lox. Here's the thing. Hate lox
Salt
without the
liver.
bagel.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you don't eat smoked salmon by itself.
No. I'm okay with that. I actually had it for, but I don't like does anyone have cream cheese lox with bread?
No.
Okay, that's weird.
No.
I feel like there's
We
some
asked
people who
those
do that.
people to leave.
Yeah. All right. There's another thing that I wanted to bring up. This morning I was making a bagel for my daughter, and I realized that I put the cream cheese on the top half, not the bottom half. Something felt off about that. I felt like it
I think the
wouldn't.
top half is where it's at.
I always
That's why
put the
you eat
bottom.
halves.
I always put the bottom.
How'd you respond?
I just went with it. I'm like, you know what? The chances
She
of her
noticed?
even. Well, I don't know. I'll ask her later tonight.
Yeah, very important
way-
to hear how her day went
She's
after
gonna
that,
bring it home.
honestly.
I mean,
Still, I didn't
I'm
eat
lucky
it.
if she eats a quarter of the actual bagel, so I feel like she's just going to be, she'll be okay with it. All right, we move along. Ryan, Ariel, welcome back. You've truly been missed. What happened to Triller's MMA fighters versus boxer events? I could have sworn Andre Ewell and others were booked on the second event, but it never happened. Any idea what happened there? I don't know. I think they're going through some issues, although they had a hologram press conference with Manny Pacquiao today. Do you see that? That's crazy. I don't know. It's all crazy. Everyone's getting booked, canceled, postponed, canceled. You're talking about the triad stuff. GC loved the triad, right? Didn't you love that?
Oh, yeah, it was Thanksgiving break last year. I bet on it.
Yeah.
I lost money on it.
Thanksgiving, that's right. Wow. Time is flying. Persian apothecary. I butchered that. I don't have the patience or the effort. Dear Dr. Helwani, what is it? Apothecary? A-P-O-T...
Apothecary.
What does that mean?
We covered this before.
Did we? All right. While reading ample info on the upcoming fight between Charles and Islam, I came across a comment that I would love to hear your thoughts on. When Charles butt slaps Islam back to the shadow realm, what will Bruce Buffer announce? Will it be and new or and still? Hope you're well and hope you had a happy Sukkot. Happy Sukkot, by the way. It's still going. It will be and new. We consider him and still around these parts, but it will be and new. Tomlinson, 8888. Ariel, hope you're well, my man. Quick couple of questions for you today. What's the process of getting a big star such as Conor on the show, and how has it changed as his fame has evolved? Love the show. I mean, again, everyone is different. I'm not going to go into the specific process with Conor per se, but, you know, those are the interviews that you, it's almost like you plant a seed and then you keep watering it. And you know when you are initially planting that seed, it's going to take months. It's going to take it's going to take 5, 6, 7 months for it to come to fruition. And so you check in, you plant the seed, you stay in touch, you talk, that sort of thing. But yes, there was a time where you would just Twitter DM him and he would come on. Times have changed. That's why I always make those jokes. Oh, you know, you're so big time now. Kevin Holland, you're so big time. People love that. I actually did that sort of joke with Tony, and I don't think he appreciated it. Aaron, shalom, Ariel. I'm glad you had a wonderful time with your family, and I hope you recharged your batteries because we need you in our life. Wow, that's so nice. The Conor Khabib fight took place 4 years ago last week. Wow. Assuming McGregor will never get revenge for his loss, do you think the UFC will book him against Islam if he'll get past Oliveira? Wow. Off the bat, no. Down the line, sure. But off the bat, no. I mean, Volk, all that stuff. Off the bat, no. Down the line would be gigantic. I mean, him versus anyone coming back at this point would be gigantic. But also, if Islam wins, that opens up Dustin, that opens up Chandler. You know, all these guys that lost to Oliveira now are back in the mix. Don't forget that. Gary, shalom, Mr. Ariel. A lot of shaloms today. I appreciate it. Hope your first Bills game was a great success. Selfishly, great to have you back. Thank you. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the stuff that's been going on between your favorite manager, Ali, and Fernand Lopez regarding this undefeated heavyweight fighter, Slim Trebelsi. Oh, God, here we go. Have you seen the story in Ali's comments? Just wanted to get your thoughts on the whole thing. Understand if you don't want to answer. No, I'm happy to answer. The whole thing is very strange to me. First of all, I would venture to say that most people out there are unfamiliar with Slim Trebelsi, or what is Slim Trebelsi? I'm unfamiliar, just for the record. I'm unfamiliar with Slim Trebelsi. I find the interest in Slim's issues to be very interesting because the way he's being covered, you would think that he's, you know, some massive prospect that everyone's been talking about, like a Paddy Pimblett or Roberto Saldich. I'm going to try to use my words wisely here. I think that there's two sides to every story. I think that this type of thing happens all the time in MMA on both sides of the equation. I see some people saying this is a heartbreaking situation, yet I don't hear much when a Cage Warriors does the exact same thing. And I hear people saying that, hey, this is why promoters shouldn't be managers or vice versa. Well, we have a ton of those in MMA, including the aforementioned Ali for a very long time with World Series of Fighting. This type of stuff was happening all the time. I saw some of the back and forth. Don't feel comfortable about that. I don't think anyone claiming that they own MMA media, is telling the truth, A, and B, I think that should be a red flag for MMA media, and it should be perhaps eye-opening, and it should be a reminder of how some people think of us and how they think that they can handle us and deal with us. And I think that because of his relationship with the MMA media, you're seeing a lot of pro-dominance coverage of this story. And again, I think there are two sides to every story. I personally, full disclosure, haven't looked into it. Why? I don't want anything to do with it, if I'm being honest. My goal in life is to stay as far away from Ali as possible. I want nothing to do with him. Do I have to talk about him at times? Do I have to cover his fighters? Absolutely. But in terms of this nonsense back and forth, I'm going to ruin your life, I'm going to do this, I want nothing to do with it. Life is too short for this nonsense. And I think that people are jumping to tell his story, because I don't even think that he was involved in this man's career for a very long time. I think that sometimes this sort of thing happens. I'm not saying it's happening specifically here, but sometimes this happens where the UFC wants to get a fighter for a specific card, and they will send someone to go get a deal done for them, even though that fighter is not working with that manager. This happens all the time. It's just the nature of the beast. It's a weird sport. Coaches are promoters, managers are promoters, promoters are managers, promoters are coaches. It's all very incestuous. It's all very mixed together. And I would say anyone that's trying to make this out into a black and white story, like, oh, this is heartbreaking for this guy, you're not doing your due diligence. There's two sides to the story. I'm not saying one guy's right, one guy's wrong, but I think the threats, the comments, all that stuff are in pretty poor taste and should give you some indication of how, MMA media is viewed by some people. So I feel bad for the guy that he's caught in between some sort of situation. If he truly wants to be free and go out and fight for the UFC, I hope for the best. If he has a contract, like, look, if I wanted to leave MMA Hour tomorrow, I couldn't. I have a contract. That's just the way it goes. Now, sometimes in this sport, there are contracts that get ripped up, 2 years before they expire. But, some people like to do it. Some people don't. Some people want to get paid. Some people don't. It's just not black and white. And so to come out and be like, they should just let him go. Well, I don't know. Maybe Fernand has a reason for not wanting to let him go. And maybe he doesn't like the way it was approached, or maybe he doesn't like the way he's being talked to, or maybe he doesn't like, I don't know. I see it from afar. I saw some of the comments. I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. This is craziness. I don't want to roll around in the gutter with this story. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. But it ain't black and white. That's for sure. Alex, I went to Sasabune. Wow. On Saturday, did the omakase, and it was awesome. A very good experience. In fact, I pitched the idea of going to Sasabune tonight.
What did she say?
It's not going to work out. Because honestly, it's a good thing because it's 6:15 and we're still going here. Considering the ongoing well-done steak shtick, it made me wonder, do you consider yourself I don't get the shtick part, but anyway, do you consider yourself a picky eater? Are you only that way when it comes to steaks? What is your go-to sushi order? How adventurous do you get? It's a very good point that A-Dub brings up here. Yeah, I do love sushi. It's probably my favorite meal, but I like sushi from trusted sources. I'm not an airport. I actually had airport sushi yesterday, but I'll get like a California roll. I won't get the sashimi at an airport. I like it to be from, 5-star Michelin. I'm very picky when it comes to that sort of thing because I hate getting food poisoning. It's like one of my big fears in life. And that's probably why I don't like the raw steak situation.
Quick question though.
Yeah.
Every time I've had Akazame, they've always given me.
Wait, what did you?
I couldn't remember.
Wait,
it's been a long day.
Just could you pause?
They give you the wagyu
What did you
beef,
call it?
and they torch it with a blowtorch for like a second.
No, seriously. What did you call it? Akazame?
Omakase.
Omakase. Oh, someone helped you. That reminds me of my daughter telling her friend on Friday that we were going to Bullafo.
But no, do you just like turn your nose at the beef when they try to serve that?
No. But by the way, Sasabune, top notch, number one in the world.
They don't do that?
They don't do that type of stuff. There's no gimmicks there.
Wow. Any truffles?
No. It's
no gold flakes?
Oh, no.
Any quail egg?
No quail egg.
You got to go, Frank. I've been.
You've been? Oh, yeah, you went last year.
I've been to like 3 different places in Manhattan.
Now, technically,
they
it was
all
this
do
year.
that.
Was it this year?
Yeah.
What was the occasion again?
Valentine's Day?
Valentine. Wow, that was this year. Golly. Fantastic, right?
Fantastic.
Out of 10 stars, what do you give it?
9.
9 stars. What was why didn't he get a 10 on 10? There is no 10 on 10?
Tough to get the 10 on 10.
Yeah. I'm adventurous. I don't like eel.
Wow. Any uni?
No sea
there's
urchin.
probably a lot of uni. Yeah, that's...
Yeah. I do like Masago, Tobiko, the eggs.
Egg, right.
You
You ever had wasabi tobiko?
That's a good question. I don't know if
They
I
like
have.
soak the tobiko in the wasabi so they turn out
sounds
bright
nice.
green.
Ooh.
It's quite the
Oh,
experience.
yes. I've had that. Yeah, I've had that. I could get pretty adventurous when it comes to sushi. I'll tell you that much. But when it comes to meat, for some reason, I'm very conservative. Killian, Mr. Helwani, do you feel vindicated by the impact of open scoring on the Overeem Hari fight? No, because guess what? To feel vindicated, that would mean that I didn't feel like I was in the right to begin with. Let me explain something to you and all the other jabrones out there. I am always right. I always have the best takes. I am never wrong. I have never been wrong. And so when it comes to open scoring or the current state of pro wrestling or fighter pay or managers acting like promoters / bullies / whatever, I'm always right. That's the point. That's what I've been trying to impress upon you. So no, vindicated would seem to suggest that I was kind of wishy-washy. I wasn't wishy-washy. I know it helps. I know it would be good. It's just going to take a while for everyone else to get on board. And finally, without further ado, Newman is last. Hello, Ariel. Hello, Newman. I am so happy to hear and see that you are having Shawn Michaels on the show today. That really happened, by the way, earlier today. Oh, my God. Did you see me marking out for Shawn Michaels? What a day it was. If you recall, I asked a question in the On the Nose segment back in August about how I was a huge wrestling fan in the early 90s, but stopped watching before the Attitude Era. And I wanted your advice on what matches or events I should go back and watch. I took your advice and watched the 97 Survivor Series, aka the Montreal Screwjob. Then I started watching episodes of Raw in chronological order from the start of 97 as well as the pay-per-views. I actually watched the Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell match from October of 97 last night. Wow. It might be the greatest match I've ever seen. This is amazing. Michaels took an absolute beating, but came out on top after the incredible first appearance by Kane. Oh my God, it's Kane. Oh my God. My question is, how much of a wrestling match from start to finish is scripted? Is every move choreographed and planned out in advance, or is it more freestyling, going with the flow until the finishing sequence? I can't believe you would ask such a thing. That is absolutely disrespectful. That is incredible. No, you'd be surprised. I mean, a lot of it is scripted, and it's amazing how they remember everything. Now, there are some tricks when they tie up the long hair. They're speaking to each other, believe it or not. There's actual communication. So things are happening. Referee is involved. He has an earpiece. She has an earpiece. You'd be surprised. Moments. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I've booked a wrestling match before, but there's some incredible minds and talent out there that do that and do it very well. However, that being said, you'd be surprised how much is planned. And by the way, that's what makes it all that much more impressive. They're doing it in front of a live audience. It's not like they're doing it on a soundstage. It's not like they're doing it in a closed-off environment. They're doing it in front of 18, 19, 20, 25, 50,000 people. It's unbelievable. And more often, there's been botches, I know, but more often than not, it looks pretty damn great. And you could suspend disbelief and you could tell a little kid, hey, this is real. So isn't that wonderful? Keep on watching. There's some great stuff to come. You're about to enter a really fun time. 98 was fun. Corporate Mankind, I believe. Corporate Rock. Tremendous. All right, guys, we're out of time. Is this officially our longest show ever?
No.
No?
For this era, probably.
Well, yes, I mean, yeah.
Then yes.
You're going to correct me on the previous era?
I was repeating what Joe said.
Wow. I mean, of course. I mean, we sometimes would go until like 8 o'clock. Point is, when we leave you for a couple of shows, we come back with a bang, as usual. For now, though, we're out of time.